rot diseases occurring during monsoon season. As all of us know that coffee leaf rust is said to be a classic disease, as it is 1.5 century old disease. And coffee leaf rust is observed on both the commercially exploited varieties like Coffea arabica and Coffea canephora. However, Coffea arabica is, shows susceptibility in varying, intensities. However, but the Robusta Coffea, the canephora, is tolerant to leaf rust. And this disease is seen throughout the year. And in India, cultivation, Arabica cultivation is rather a little bit, difficult task, as we encounter alternate dry and wet weather conditions with the intermittent rainfall and sunshine. Also with when we get a high relative humidity above 80% and temperature between 22 and 24 degrees centigrade is very much ideal for the flare-up of diseases. Also importantly, very importantly, thin overhead shade are the major abiotic climatic factors which favors the high disease buildup in Arabica coffee plantations. So let us know the symptoms. As all of us know, since it is very old, disease, we understand that the symptoms are typical pale yellow or chlorotic lesions on the upper surface of the leaves. And on the lower surface of the leaves, we will be observing the yellow to orange colored powdery mass, or we can say the deposits like, a dust deposit like orange deposits. These deposits or the powdery mass are called as iridospores, which are the propagules for further dissemination of the disease. And these pustules, to be, in the initial stage, it is a small speck-like structure, and gradually, slowly, it grows, increases, and the neighboring, the spots coalesce, or later it merges and covers the entire lamina or the entire lower surface of the leaves. When this condition is seen, actually, naturally, we will be observing the premature leaf fall. These are the very important and critical symptoms of the leaf rust. And what is the effect of coffee leaf rust on the plant and the yield? So as I said, when the lower surface of the leaf is entirely covered by the powdery mass, which are the propagules or the iridospores, then automatically the photosynthetic area, the leaf area is reduced. Thereby it inhibits the growth of the plant, or the plant growth is affected. And here what happens is, in such conditions, the plant, in such condition, the defoliation takes place, and the plant disposes, or it predisposes for the incidence of dieback and dieback disease. And in severely affected conditions, the plants become, it looks very barren. It looks very barren, and the frame, it loses its, the bush, plant bush, loses its framework. So in such conditions, when the berries are there on the plant, the berries could not able to develop and mature. So finally, what we get is, in such conditions, whatever the berries on the plant we get is jello, or what we call it as floats. So, and in severe incidences on an individual plant, we can say that yield loss will be up to 70%, but 30 to 35% on an entire plantation. So whether this disease is seen in the, is there any season for this disease, or is this disease is seen in the pre-monsoon or post-monsoon or mid-monsoon? Yes, this disease is seen throughout the year. It is seen, and this disease can be, classified, can be distinguished into 4 different phases, like period of extension, period of intensification, period of defoliation, and period of slow growth or inactivity. And this, now the present condition is said to be, that is April to August, that classification, if you take, it is period of extension. And September to November is period of intensification. Normally in December, we see defoliation, and January to March is an activity. This, different phase of leaf rust to be noted is very, very important, because in January to March, we'll see we experience, high temperature, whereas the leaf rust pathogen prefers to grow or germinate and proliferate in the leaf at a temperature of 22 to 24 degrees centigrade, as I said in the previous slides. And in December, if you see period of defoliation, if we are not attended or if we are not carried out any, plant production measures, then naturally defoliation will take place in the susceptible varieties. And September, November also period of intensification, because during that we'll be harvesting the crop, whatever the starch content or the carbohydrates, which will be exhausted towards the blossom and the development of the berries. So that for all these reasons, we need to take up, we need to understand the behavior of the pathogen so that it will be easy for us to mitigate the problem. And this is, I have just depicted a graph to show you that how the leaf rust pathogen behaves, according to the climate, according to the abiotic factors. This is the progression of coffee leaf rust during 2021-22. I have taken it from a susceptible variety selection 3, that is S795. Here we have recorded every fortnight. We used to record the incidence of coffee leaf rust. And we can see here from last year, as we could, refresh ourselves, we had rains from, started from 24th December of 20. And then January, we had rainfalls, February, throughout, till the monsoon, we had, rains. So that we can see even in the early April also, we had little incidence of leaf rust, and then it has drastically come down. And then you can see how it has been progressed. And in December, you see it is a peak season where it has, and then it has dropped down the curve. You can see that it is dropping down. Then it indicates a defoliation or reduction in the incidence of leaf rust. Then how to manage this disease? Disease can be managed with combining or integrating with the disease management practices. So first and foremost is how to integrate the disease management is first and foremost is growing tolerant varieties or the rust resistant tolerant varieties. At CCRI, the plant breeding division has evolved 13 Arabica cultivars. It has a wide spectrum of resistance to CLR in field conditions, that is coffee leaf rust in field conditions. And the grower has a chance to select variety based on location specific adaptability. And of course, the latest Arabica variety, popularly called as the Chandragiri or selection 13, it manifests broad spectrum of field tolerance, and it has wide adaptability. Then coming to the among the integrated disease management, the second and most important part is cultural management strategies. Here we all of us know that coffee is a shade loving plant and it requires optimum shade. So in India, we cultivate coffee under 2-tier shade canopy. Hence, shade is very important to manage coffee leaf rust, of course, as well as the white stem borer too. And the next option is post harvest handling and pruning to minimize the initial inoculum if it is there before receiving the blossom showers. That's very important. And also very importantly, applying balanced nutrition for vigorous growth of the plant. When vigorous growth of the plant is there, then automatically disease incidences will be very less. And then finally, the chemical management. Coming to the chemical management, we do recommend, the Coffee Board recommend both prophylactic fungicides as well as systemic fungicides. Of course, coming to the prophylactic fungicide, Bordeaux mixture is the one we recommend. Though it is a very old fungicide, still it is effective fungicide still now. And I can say that it has, it is broadly used. It has a broad spectrum and broadly used in agricultural, horticultural, and even plantation crops too. And when using this prophylactic fungicide Bordeaux mixture or the contact of fungicide, the time and this has to be, applied before the onset of monsoon. But there are practical limitations like weather preparation is cumbersome a timely spray, mode of application, and the efficacy. Whether, for example, whether if you take, for example, now in the present condition, we are getting, from 10 days due to cyclone, we are receiving heavy rainfall. Medium to heavy rainfall in some of the parts of coffee tracts. So that in such a condition, we need to assess ourselves whether to go for a prophylactic fungicide or a systemic fungicide. Of course, preparation is cumbersome as we are getting nowadays, we are getting all the instances. And then timely spray. What do you mean by timely spray? Timely spray is nothing but we need to see in our estates whether the disease incidence is noticed or not. That is what I mean to say timely spray. If the incidence is there in the estate, it's better not to opt for prophylactic fungicide. It's better to go for systemic fungicide. And mode of application here, as we have seen in the symptoms slide, the iridospores are seen on the lower surface of the leaves. So mode of application of prophylactic fungicide is only on the lower surface. Though you give on the upper surface, no problem, but on the lower surface, it has to be properly covered. That's what I mean to say mode of application. And if you take all these factors into consideration, definitely efficacy will be more. Efficacy we can see up to 90 days. Then for coffee, we do recommend alkaline Bordeaux mixture for management of leaf rust, that is 0.5%. And it has to be sprayed before the onset of monsoon. And as I said, time and spray and coverage is very, very important when we are using prophylactic fungicide. And the merit or the use of alkaline Bordeaux mixture is it gives good foliage retention, slow weathering of copper from spray deposits. And since it is, weathering is slow, it gives prolonged persistence of the deposits. And then spray solution has to reach the underside of the foliage. And then let us know about the preparation of Bordeaux mixture, as all of us know also, but let us refresh ourselves. The mixture of us, we know mixture of copper sulfate and spray lime or hydrated lime is Bordeaux mixture. And to prepare 1 barrel of Bordeaux mixture, we'll be dissolving 1 kg of copper sulfate in 5 liters of water by suspending it in thin gunny mat or cloth, preferably overnight. And then the next stock solution is lime. Take 1 kg of spray lime in a tin, sprinkle little water and close the mouth of the tin with wooden planks. Then when the lime bakes, add 5 liters of water and collect the supernatant as stock solution. So the copper sulfate solution and stock solutions has to be prepared separately. And then mixing of the stock solutions. Now in another fibered barrel, take 190 liters of water and then add 5 liters of lime stock solution to this with constant stirring. Then add 5 liters of copper sulfate stock solution slowly with continuous stirring by using wooden stirrers. So that the mixture what we get should have the pH of 9 to 10. And please check after preparing the Bordeaux mixture, please check for the pH of the solution. It should be in between, 9 to 10. So then I have just taken here the difference between or to say merits and demerits of alkaline Bordeaux mixture and neutral Bordeaux mixture, because many of the planters, they use neutral Bordeaux mixture for areca, as well as also for many of them use it for coffee too. So I just wanted to explain here what is the merits and demerits when we use alkaline and neutral Bordeaux mixture. So when we use alkaline Bordeaux mixture, having pH of 9 to 10, when it is sprayed on the plants, as I said earlier, it releases the copper slowly. Weathering of copper deposited on the leaves is very slow. Whereas in case of neutral Bordeaux mixture, it is quick release of copper is absorbed. Also, quick lime with purity of 59% and above may be used in case of alkaline Bordeaux mixture, whereas in case of neutral Bordeaux mixture, it should be always lime of high purity is required. And in alkaline Bordeaux mixture, good retention of foliage is seen, and also bioefficacy of copper pesticides and foliar nutrients. I mean to say here, good retention of foliage is seen in alkaline Bordeaux mixture, and some planters, when Bordeaux mixture is prepared, they have the practice of adding urea, MOP, and zinc sulfate to the mixture. So then, when these things are added, the pH of the solution is not altered. But whereas in case of neutral Bordeaux mixture, there is poor retention of foliage is there due to a quick release of copper, and then when the nutrients are added to the Bordeaux mixture, neutral Bordeaux mixture, there is slight change in the acidic nature of the mixture, leading to phytotoxic symptoms. So those are the merits and demerits while using alkaline Bordeaux mixture and neutral Bordeaux mixture. Then again, one more, I think this is a repeated slide. Prophylactic fungicide gives protection for longer duration, that is about 90 days, more than 90 days, and it improves leaf retention. Not only protects the coffee plants against coffee leaf rust, but also it gives protection. It is most equally effective for the rot diseases which are observed during the monsoon season, like black rot and stalk rot diseases. And this, more importantly, Bordeaux mixture is permitted in organic farming. Then advantages, that's about the Bordeaux mixture. And let us see the advantages of systemic fungicides. To use the systemic fungicides, it's easy. Flexibility is there. Whenever you wish, you can use it, and cost effective also. And mode of action, we need not worry that we need to spray on the lower surface. We can spray on the upper surface also, so that it reaches the tissues. And this systemic fungicides acts both as curative and preventive, means to say that it cures even after the disease comes. If you spray, it cures, and also before it comes, it prevents. Whereas in case of Bordeaux mixture, it is not so. Bordeaux mixture, if the disease is noted, it will not prevent the disease. Then these are a few of the pictures which shows the effect of systemic fungicides. You can see the active spores here. After spraying, you can see somewhat healing of the spots where it is systemic fungicide is sprayed, and you can see complete cured spots or curation of the spots. Then in case of systemic fungicides, as all of us know, also the planters are using the systemic fungicides to mitigate or to manage the coffee leaf rust in coffee plantations. We recommend or we advise the planters to take up hexaconazole 5-EC at the rate of 400 ml per barrel. And EPIC, we have taken up this, we have studied this, this EPIC is a trade name, but it is also another formulation of hexaconazole. Hexaconazole 75% WG. It is in the granular form, vegetable granular form, available in the form of 30 grams. And also we also recommend 30 grams per barrel. This is also we have tested for the last 2 years consecutively, and it is equally effective as that of hexaconazole 5-EC. And another, the fungicide pyraclos, a combi product, pyraclostrobin and epoxyconazole. This is also very effective against coffee leaf rust. And another, and these two, the combi products we have tested for 2 consecutive years at multi-locations, and we found that these two are also equally effective as that of hexaconazole. And then after knowing all these things, let us know the ideal spray schedule. How can we go further to take up which is the ideal spray schedule? What can we take up how can we take up the spray solutions? Like usually, normally we recommend, pre-monsoon, we recommend 5.5% Bordeaux mixture, alkaline 0.5% Bordeaux mixture covering both the lower surface of the leaves before the onset of monsoon. And post-monsoon, we say for susceptible varieties, we will be advising to go for systemic fungicides like hexaconazole. And for the tolerant varieties, we will say you can use, you can use the Bordeaux mixture if this is not noticed. If disease is there, you can opt for the systemic fungicides. But now in this current season, the planter has to decide, because from March onwards, we are receiving the rainfall due to cyclones. And in this weather conditions, if there is a gap, and also added to this, I suspect that even in the last season, many of the planters, due to extended, the monsoon season, many of the planters have not taken up the post-monsoon spray. So in such a case, we need to assess our own system, whether coffee leaf rust is there or not, and then decide which one is to be sprayed, whether it is contact fungicide or the systemic fungicide. Then apart from these, the planters have the habit of, as we know, there is an acute shortage of skilled labor force, and also prolonged monsoons. Also, nowadays in this year, even the last year and this current year, we are seeing, due to cyclones, we are receiving continuous rainfall before the onset of monsoon. Also, we are getting rainfall and extended monsoon also. In such conditions, many of the, planters are facing, what I can say is overlapping of estate operations, like weeding, fertilizer application, fungicide spray, like white stem borer control or tracing, things like that. So when these estate operations are overlapping, planters are combining to minimize the cost as well as the time. So planters are mixing the fungicide with the fungicide. They are mixing the pesticide for white chloropyrifos or whatever it is advised, and then fertilizer applications, they are mixing 19-ol or 17-ol, whatever, all the fertilizers they are mixing. So to see the effect of all these as a concoction or the combination of all these things, we have studied for 2 years consecutively, and we found that when you mix all these, with the hexaconazole or with the systemic fungicide, if you mix foliar nutrients or micronutrients or the pesticide, of course it is compatible, but the persistence of the fungicide, you are targeting the coffee leaf rust pathogen, so that persistence of the fungicide on the leaves comes down as you mix, one by one. Like if you mix 19-ol, we have noticed the persistence has come down to 5 days. If you spray hexaconazole alone, it is persistence is 70 days. And one by one, if you're mixing the nutrients, foliar nutrients and micronutrients, then the persistence or the longevity of the chemical which we have targeted it comes down. Like you can see, when you mix hexaconazole with all the micronutrients and macronutrients, you can see the persistence has come down to 50 days. That's about coffee leaf rust. And let's move on to the next very important disease that what we observe in monsoon season. Invariably, we do encounter in coffee plantations, we do encounter the monsoon rot diseases like black rot, stalk rot, and berry rot. As usually, normally when we say monsoon, of course, after blossom, we would be having break in the monsoon, and then from monsoon starts from June to September, and that was the schedule. But nowadays we are not seeing throughout the year, throughout the January to December, we are receiving some amount of rainfall. Due to that wetness, earlier days, of course, even I have not seen, when I joined Coffee Board, I have not seen black rot in our estates, in our own farm, stalk rot or black rot or berry rot. But nowadays, of late, in the recent years, we are noticing all these changes. That's because of the climate change and vagaries in the climate pattern and rainfall pattern too. So let's know what is black rot. Though everyone is aware of this, I would like to just emphasize on the symptoms of the black rot. Black rot we will see as, on the lower surface of the leaves, we will be seeing the white mycelial thread-like structures. On the leaves, we will see then it again grows on the twigs as well as on the leaves, as you see in this picture. Here you can see on the young twigs, there is white mycelial mat-like thing on the lower surface covering the entire lamina and then proceeding towards the twigs and the tender leaves. And then later on, this white mycelium, thread-like structures, later it becomes black and rotten. And these blackened and rotten, leaves, they hangs down by means of, you can see here, the slimy fungal strands. This is a characteristic tool to identify the black rot disease. In advanced stages, what happens is you can see the rotting of green berries. You can see here rotting of green berries. You can see here the thread like here it is there, and earlier affected plants it is rotting and then it defoliate. I mean, berry drop will be seen. That's about black rot. And coming to the stalk rot again, it is a fungus called Pultrotrichum bleosporidis. Initially, we will be seeing brown to black rattening of fruit stalk. Here you can see fruit stalk. Here you can see here the fruit stalk is rotting. Then decay of the rot portion takes place, and the rotten stalk remains on the branch. Here you can see only the rotten stalk is remaining on the branch, and the premature fruit drop will be seen. And then next, the disease is leaf spot and berry rot, which is caused by the Myrothecium roridum. This disease is also seen in the nursery. Nursery of late, we are seeing this in the nursery. The same symptoms also here also will be observing, like you can see dark and light fades of brownish color, that is alternate white and brown color concentric rings on the leaves, you can see. And when it is severely infected, we can see here in the closer view of the spot, you can see white dot-like structures, white dot speck-like structures, which are nothing but the fruiting bodies of this fungus. And this can be seen on the leaves as well as on the fruits also. You can see here, you can see from one end to the other end, other distal end of the fruit, the infection takes place. You can see in the magnified view, you can see the fruiting bodies of this. Even one such fruiting bodies has millions of conidia. Imagine how much it spreads. Then what happens during the erratic rainfall, as we are receiving the erratic rainfall, because in the rainfall only, monsoon season only, we will be noticing all these rot diseases. So what happens is, due to high quantum of rainfall, what we receive in very short periods leads to floods in coffee plantations, results in soil erosion and waterlogging in the root zone, causing wet food condition. This is a normal condition during monsoon season. And thus, due to soil saturation coupled with ambient temperatures, relative humidity, and persistent hanging mist during monsoon, that's the ideal condition for flare-up of all these rot diseases. And this disease leads to defoliation and premature fruit drop, affecting the crop loss to an extent of 15 to 20% on an average. So again, in the last year, I just, we have taken the pictures in the last year because, as I said in my previous slides, last year from January, we have seen the rain, we have received the rainfall. That is an unusual rainfall, erratic and unusual rainfalls. What happens is when we receive unusual and erratic rainfall is we will be observing the staggered flush development. Then we will be observing the multiple blossom and importantly, the existing pathogens. Even now, this year, what we are receiving the rainfall, existing pathogens will become activated. Even the rainfall, as I said in our previous slides, it is slow extension of the disease. But due to this, what we are getting dry and wet conditions, then definitely the pathogens will be activated. Even in case of rot diseases also, the pathogen which is there in the endemic patches will be activated due to moisture. And these are the conditions which are ideal for flare-up of all these rot diseases. And is this any preemptive measures are required? Yes, of course. When we know that our estates or some of the blocks are endemic to all these rust diseases, we need to take care of those, giving preemptive measures. So here I just wanted to share the rainfall received during for a period of 8 years I have taken here. And we can see here from June to September. Those 4 months are very critical. That is a real monsoon period. But when we look at during 2014, we have received, like on an average, if you see till, 2017, on an average, 300 to 350 in each month, June and July here. Of course, 2014 is higher, but as 15 and 16, you see on an average 500 during that period, and in August also. And after 2018, if you look at the rainfall received, you can see here 2018 1,100. This rainfall recorded at Central Coffee Research Institute here itself. In other places, I do not know, because even Kalasa and other areas we may receive more rainfall. This is the rainfall at CCRI. You can see here 1,169, 1,200 it has gone like this. We will be seeing in the August month, we will be seeing high quantum, that is high quantum of rainfall within very short period. You can see here number of rainy days. If you look at this, all the all these years we will be seeing all the 28, 30 days, all these years we have received rainfall. So that for that reason, we are of late, we are seeing or observing the monsoon rods, flare up of monsoon rods in almost all the estates. And this is the damage of leaves and berries we can see due to erratic rainfall. That is, you can see here, this is due to, myrothecium, and here stalk rot. You can see defoliation due to the myrothecium, and this is black rot, things like that. And then what are the see, if we know that our blocks are endemic to rot diseases, yes, as I said, the preemptive measures are very, very important to adopt. And mainly the cultural practices like handling, centering, and desuckering of the bushes before the onset of monsoon is very important. And also, as we are receiving high rainfall, maintain the good drainage, that is, clean the cradle pits before the monsoon season, and remove fallen shade trees, especially the silver oak leaves which are on the coffee bushes, because silver oak leaves will not decompose as easily as coffee leaves or any other shade leaves. So removal of shade tree leaves is very important on the bushes where you see black rot or the stalk rot diseases. And heap the mulch to the center of 4 plants to provide a better aeration, and apply balanced nutrients to the plants. And one more thing, very important thing, is we need to take care during weed management. The brush cutters, what we use in the in the monsoon season, especially when the weeds, even the myrothecium has a very vast high host range. Even in the host or the weeds, it will be there. So when you use the brush cutters, there is a chance of spread of this disease from weeds to the plants. So through weed splashes, it may infect in the coffee plants also. So we need to take care during weed management. Before the onset of monsoon, we can go easily use the weed cutters, and then remove and destroy the affected leaves, berries, if at all, if it is there, even in the mid monsoon. After, if you see anything, affected leaves of berry, black rot, or the rotten berries, or the young branches, it has to be removed, and so that to reduce the further spread or to reduce the monsoon diseases. And then to contain this disease, normally Coffee Board, we recommend prophylactic spray of 1% Bordeaux mixture. Earlier, we know, as I said, endemic patches. If you know the endemic patches, identify those patches or the blacks, mark those blacks, and spray 1% Bordeaux mixture. And this 1%, if raining, 1% Bordeaux mixture is mixed with plant hormones like Planofix 50 ml per barrel or 200 liters of water in the endemic patches before the onset of monsoon. Okay, alternatively, yes, now it is raining, we cannot use the Bordeaux mixture. Alternatively, we can use the systemic fungicides like the combi product pyraclostrobin epoxyconazole, it's very effective, and tibuconazole is also effective, and propiconazole is also very effective. So all these systemic fungicides are effective, and you can mix this at the rate of pyraclostrobin and epoxyconazole at the rate. All these three systemic fungicides, you can take 200 ml in per barrel to manage black rot diseases. And mancozeb, especially for myrothecium, you can use the last fungicide mancozeb at the rate of 400 grams per barrel. Then current climatic situation, what we have to take in the current climatic situation, and the pathogen, how the pathogen is behaving. As I said in my previous slides, now due to unprecedented rainfall and intermittent rains, coffee leaf rust pathogen is in active state, and which results in quick buildup of inoculum, especially in the susceptible Arabica varieties. So the planter has to decide whether to take, if in the post-monsoon season, in the last season, if you are not taken any plant protection measures in managing leaf rust, you can go for, and in the present condition, whether it is there, the disease is there or not, you have to decide whether you need to opt for prophylactic or systemic fungicide. So I strongly believe that now the pathogen is in active state. So we recommend, if you notice coffee leaf rust in your estate, please spray any one of the recommended systemic fungicides to manage the disease. And then, of course, intermittent showers received during the current summer season also provided congenial conditions for early activation of monsoon rot pathogens, which may result in severe outbreak if rain intensifies during the current season. So here, as we have recommended, even for leaf rust also, as in my previous slide, we have recommended pyraclostrobin and epoxyconazole for black rot. Also, it is effective for leaf rust also. So in such conditions where the plantations having black rot incidents or the stalk rot incidents, as well as the leaf rust incidents, you can opt for, very well opt for pyraclostrobin and epoxyconazole, that is Opera, at the rate of 200 ml in a barrel. That you can use. And of course, the Opera is effective for the monsoon rot, all the monsoon rot diseases, as well as coffee leaf rust too. That's about precise about the coffee leaf rust as well as the monsoon rot diseases. Thank you.
So